Okay guys, welcome back to part 4 here. I know I went a little bit long on that last one, so I'm going to try and keep this a bit shorter. Back to our little outline here. We're down to summary table, and then we're going to eventually get into some order flow events that would segue nicely into the auto trader. I'm going back to Thursday's open here. We'll just clean up some of the last bits we haven't covered. Okay, so this is the open on Thursday, so straight up, straight down. Now, just again, general discussion. This is relatively common. Now, we knew there was a lot of data, potential market moving information hitting the market on Thursday. Trump was talking, you had the Fed in front of the Senate. But this kind of thing you'll see very often, right? A big push at the open to attract retail, right, into it. Oh, it's going to be a massive update, right? We're 6 minutes in and boom, right? It just completely collapses. It's just something to be mindful of. So as we open here, you see massive delta, big wide range candles here. Here's a stacked imbalance here. You'll note that that's highlighted and extended. I'm still with the default setting here. The only thing we've added is we've put the delta on top of the candles here. That's the only change we've made from the default. Of course, you'll see it down below. But look, you can take, this is, I know, hindsight, right? I hear you. But you can look at the delta here. We're going from the very extreme delta here. We get to a 34.47 here on this upper candle. Well, we have all of this here, the value area, POC, everything is hot. Whoa, right? And you can see it start to switch here. We've gone from this huge ramp up here, right? So it would be very easy even for a retracement trader to look at this and go, oh, we're up. Okay, we're going to retrace. Well, boy, at no time is there any evidence of it pausing here. And again, it's the 60 seconds a candle, right? So it's always easier after the candle has completed. But certainly there were telling signs here that this is, well, where's the follow through if we're gonna ramp, right? So just things to be noticing here. Watching that delta. Well, generally, you would have to really have been committed to staying long to not see that happening in front of you. Big down bar, lots of imbalances on the way down here. We don't even stop at the 21. It just completely rips through it. Stacked imbalances here, down we go. Now this is a good example of the trade-off you make with a 1 minute candle bar, right? Footprint candle. In that if you're waiting for the bar's close here, if you're working with, say, an auto trader or something that enters the market at the close of the bar, it's going to put you short right here. Right? Is that the ideal? Or so just a little comment here just for the pack away in the back of your mind, right? So that's a trade-off when you're working with the 1 minute. I get all of this information over that 60-second period here, but I certainly would not be pleased with an entry here at the close of the bar. Okay, that aside, we certainly can see what's happening here. Now look, right, so this would be a huge, of course, a big imbalance, a fair value gap, if you will, and it comes right back and just fills it in. So just the natural volatility here that's inherent in the NQ of late. There's a lot of volatility on this day. It was, I think, an easier day to trade after we got through this volatility, and then we had Trump speaking and some of the tariff news, and it was a lot of impactful events throughout the course of the day. We rip up. Now that's not the IB yet, but again, it's kind of that 21 EMA, right? This early kind of a trading. Unless you have a particular strategy that's tied to an opening gap fill, that kind of thing. We had actually no gap here, interestingly, from day to day. But let me get off of that and get on to the subject matter at hand, which is now we've come to, we teased it a little bit, some of the different ways that you can access this information. But per my outline I'm trying to stick to, the summary table is where we left off. Now I'm going to try and do this relatively quickly because there's a lot of redundancy here, as you can see, in terms of how you set things up, but in terms of what I've been able to cover so far. So if we go to the summary table, just as we looked before, that what we could do with the bar stats, we can do the same thing with the summary table. So I can just take any of the rows down here and pick any of it's the same thing, right? It's the same menu as you saw up here. I can pick any of these items here, or these technical events, if you will, and place those in the summary table below. But again, I know I'm repeating myself here. You can put them below, or you can put them on the candle, or you can put some on the candle and some below, right? Which is kind of what you see here. So not there, you've heard me say this repeatedly. There is not a right way to do this. This is just your personal preference. We're just showing you all of the different ways, all the flexibility you have here in terms of how you set this up. I think if you got to be careful about too much down here, because then you're going, okay, what? Oh, third, fourth row. You know, if you have 9 rows down here, it's going to take you a second to go. Well, where's the commitment of traders? Okay, that's the row 7. Is that the commitment of traders high, or is that the low? Or, I mean, just you can overwhelm yourself here with too much, right? And the idea is you're trying to be able to get a look at what's happening at a glance without going into each bid-ask level here. It has to be at a glance, because the market is moving to, particularly the NQ, it moves so quickly. Now I know we can look at it and say, okay, I've got 60 seconds a candle, but in the heat of the battle, that 60 seconds is going to go pretty quickly as you're trying to determine, okay, is this candle closing up or down? Where are we? So I won't go through each of these. I'm just referencing that, just a reminder, anything can be on the candle. It can be in the summary table. It can be a blend of the two. There you go. Okay, now let me get to what we were just touching on here, and you're seeing it reflected here in the default setting here, where we're extending these technical events via the setup that we have with this. So what we've got here, I'm going to go, again, being the default, I'm going to go right to stacked imbalance. Well, you'll note that they're turned on. Right? Now, can I see them in the candle if they're turned on? Yes. What's the point of turning them on? Well, because I can extend them. I could extend them for a number of bars, maybe 5 bars. I could extend them until broken or until tested. No right answer there. It's just whatever you like. I tend to go until tested, right? And then once they're tested here, my assumption here is that any defense here has been absorbed, right? Down here, this is untested. Now, it is one thing I should note here, which I perhaps went too quickly on. With some of these large orders here, we don't have a way to distinguish whether or not that's a large limit order. It could be. It could be. At this size, that very well could be a buy limit order. It would reflect in the candlestick chart the same way. So we can't be absolutely certain that wasn't a large buy order, given the result. That's certainly possible, right? That this was a large limit order and there was no one on the other side of it, so they bought here and up we go. Possible, but that's a pretty good amount of size, right? Relative to what you see here, and with nothing on the other side, that's possible, right? So just a word to the wise, right? We can't make that distinction. If it were short sellers, well, they had to cover pretty quickly. Essentially, the same outcome. If you were thinking, oh, that's a big seller. Well, by the close of the bar, well, look where we close, right? I mean, this is all wick. So perhaps, you might interpret that and think, oh, perhaps that's a large limit buyer. Okay, right? So as we go here, that's just an aside, right? For many of you that are familiar with footprint candles will recognize that distinct. We don't have a way to be certain about it. Okay, as we go here, you'll see again all the imbalances here. Now these are not extended because there's, let's see, did I turn that off? Let's go back to my imbalances here until tested, right? So this is a full sweep here. So this likely is all just buyers, right? So because it doesn't look like a buy order would appear as a limit order down here on the sell side, right? So here, this odds are very high that is not a seller, but that's aggressive buying here. No one on the other side of it. 1040. I think there was some dialogue going on. That was market moving here. Up we go. Now look, we get a distance from the 21, and then what do? We come back to it. It tends to be a reversion to the mean, kind of a characteristic. You'll see in the 21, many people prefer the 20, right? That's very commonly used. And then we just ride it, right? So there's no edge here. This is just straight rotation. You do not want to try and trade here. But it's very easy, right? In hindsight, you look and say, okay, they've been riding here. Oh, they're going to go, right? It's not enough. It's not enough, right? That's a sucker move here. And when you're first using a footprint candle, something I've repeated over the course of these videos here, one candle is not enough because you can talk yourself into, oh, there it is. I see it, negative delta. Oh, they're going down. I've got a little event here. Oh, we've gone from this, negative 59 here. We're negative 43. They're selling it for sure. Well, eventually, you're right. But do you want to sit through the bumps here? And I'm not sure. Oh, are they? Right. See, candle to candle is not the way to approach this. It has to be kind of a collective whole in context with regards to what you're reading over here, whatever you're using over here that has you looking over here. Again, if you just stay focused over here, you're going to just get eaten alive, right? Because you're going to think you see something. For example, oh, big stacked imbalance, right? Oh, they're going. Oh, that's definitely it. We're going to break lower. Maybe not. All right. So again, just trying to help you, not bore you to death, but I know this is going a little bit long. So let me keep moving here. So we've covered the summary table. Again, that's just what your preference is, how you want to look at it. Now let me get to the section here that this I think is the meat of the indicator here, and where I think it really shines. So we've looked at stacked imbalances here, and we have those turned on and then extended until tested, right? That's a I would encourage you to consider leaving that as is. Now we have all of these other things that we can play with here. Do we want all of them on? Well, perhaps not. Well, now we're getting back to what I was discussing in section 3 and part 3, that video where we talked about, okay, going through the stripes and say, okay, that might be a way that you say, okay, I can put the stripes on, and then I can look through and say, okay, is this an event I want to look for? Delta divergence, very, very common, right? So that if I put that on, you're going to have stripes throughout the whole thing, right? I mean, it'll be just all day long, nothing but stripes. So that's very common. So that wouldn't be, I would suggest, not enough by itself, but in conjunction with something else, right? If I'm at a pivot or a location or support resistance, or for whatever reason, a fib location, some reason that I'm looking there, if I saw delta divergence, I wouldn't ignore it, but I would want to see something in addition to the delta divergence, right? Because it's so common. Whereas a delta trap, right, that's not going to be as common as delta divergence or delta drop, right? Again, just a few things to consider. So back to my point here, I would encourage you to go through each of these. Now, if you do extend until tested with all of these, your chart's going to be a mess, right? You're just going to have lines everywhere, and it's overload of information. I would stay focused. Now, I'm not suggesting you turn absorption off, but one thing you might do is say, okay, rather than tested, I want you to extend it just for 2 bars. So I get a little bit of a marker, right? Something that's going to show me, okay, it could be 3 bars. Right? So let me rerun that again. Here, I'm going to pause it because that takes a second. Well, absorption, I look through the back. I look through the last 4 or 5 days. I have no hard signal of an absorption, which might suggest that it's something that you would want to pay attention to. Now, on the bar markers, you get a big AB for absorption, right? So you will see it. But it's just on a 1 minute candle in the NQ. I went back through 4 days. I didn't see a single signal for it. So the fact that it's rare might draw your attention to it should you see it. Right? Just a suggestion. Okay, let me carry on here. So I'm not going to go through all of these, but just making the point. Big delta, right? You can set that. If you turn that on, you're going to get a marker, and that can be extended for bars, right? We can do the same thing. We maybe do 3 bars, so you'll see it. So it'll draw your eye to it. Oh, okay. Well, I had some big delta there. That's one. Again, I could go through all of these. The one that I think would be there's a couple that I think are really worthwhile to focus on. But that said, again, if you're trialing or if you've just made the investment here, I would go through each one of these and do the same thing for your own benefit. Exhaustion prints, very common. Extend for this one. I'll typically do maybe 3 to 4 bars because they're so very common, right? You're looking for exhaustion at a pivot. You want to that would suggest a clean finish to the auction. So by highlighting the exhaustion print, it's the kind of thing that I want to see. I don't know if I can find one. It's the kind of thing I want to see. As at a potential, right? We don't know in advance. At a potential pivot, I want to see exhaustion on one side, either bid or the ask side, depending on whether I'm considering long or short. I want to see some of that exhaustion, right? So that would be something that you might, if we go back here, where are we? Exhaustion prints. If you do them until tested, you may find you have too many. Again, it's up to you, right? But 3 to 4 bars will typically give that. Let's go down to 3. That's about where I keep it. So you'll see it. Now I'd have to recalculate here, and then it'll go back through, and it'll put them there. Here, well, let's do that here on exhaustion, just to make the point. I'll pause the video. Okay, now having reset, now you see all the exhaustion up here, right? So you can see it. It's the pivot, right? So here, this is a nice one. We're kind of ranging, but the little drift is lower. Well, let's open this up a little bit. So it would be how you might be looking at it. Just what I want to see before entering the market. If I'm considering entering here, I want to see exhaustion in the prior candle, right? This this. Now I've gone, three bars here. Is that too much for you? Could be, right? It could just be you want 1 or 2 bars. Just so, again, the idea is I see it at a glance. I don't have to look in there and go, gosh, 7 to 29 here. It looks like that might be exhaustion there. No, boom. I just want to see it because everything needs to be relatively quick at a glance. Oh, exhaustion. Boom. Okay. Do I want to take that trade? Perhaps, right? Again, ideally, you want to entering as close to the 21 as you can. But you're going to see a lot of them, right? A lot of exhaustion prints. So very common, unlike the absorption we were just looking for. I didn't see one, right, in the last 3 or 4 days. Lots of exhaustion, delta divergence, same kind of thing. You see lots of them. My point being, I would go through each of these individually, and you make that decision which is most important to you. Now, imbalances, this I'd spend some time here. Again, just a friendly suggestion. Certainly, you would want to turn them on. Now, this is kind of interesting if you go to imbalances only. And this might be just for your own education, looking for where am I seeing imbalances within a candle, right? So you're going to see everything but the bid ask. Well, pardon me. You're going to see no bid ask. You can get the value area, you see the candle, and you're going to see those imbalances in the chart, right? So do you see any buy imbalances here? No, right? Not until we start to head back. Just a suggestion, might be the kind of thing, maybe you're not doing this for live trading, but as you're doing your review and you're kind of getting comfortable with how to work with a footprint chart, noticing, okay, just straight exhaustion, or pardon me, just straight delta imbalances here as the market is moving lower. And what are we doing, right? We're moving further away from the 21. What do we do, right? And once we start to see positive buy imbalances, we're heading back to the 21 and over and over. So I still have the exhaustion prints turned on, but I'm just focused on those imbalances. Now, okay, again, I think that's more educational rather than something you would use in live trading. Let me go back to my imbalances. So let's turn that off and let's go to multiple imbalances. I would turn on oversized imbalances. Again, it's my suggestion. Big imbalances, nothing to lose from doing that. Second slot imbalances, right? So in the second level of the bid ask, again, it's just a suggestion. You might turn those on. Consecutive imbalances, where it wouldn't necessarily be stacked. It wouldn't need to be. Well, here you've got consecutive imbalances and stacked imbalance. Now, one thing you'll note here, when we have a stacked imbalance, one of the features that you can turn on is with a stacked imbalances, it will highlight the outline of the candle. You see it here? Right, so I can have imbalances, but if I don't have stacked imbalances, then it won't give you that outline. Of course, the idea being I can see it at a glance. I don't have to go, oh, there's the outline, right? I can just see it, right there it is, right? I don't have to look. Oh God, are they stacked? Are there more? Are there, right? Any question here about? But this is how the market works, right? So what is a retail trader who maybe isn't seeing this? I mean, it would be very easy to get sucked into, oh my God, I got to sell that. I mean, you don't even get a bar, right? You don't get a bar of profit, right? So if you again, it's kind of a good example of why the 1 minute has its pros and cons. If you're entering at the close of the candle, you didn't see a tick of profit. You're underwater immediately. It's just the reality, right? With things with trading, right? There's always a trade-off with something somewhere. Stacked imbalances, right? That outline just draws your eye to it quickly. Here I've got imbalances, but I don't have any stacks, so I don't get the outline, right? But I can see at a glance, at a glance, at a glance. That's what you're trying to do, because if you start trading with this, you're gonna think 60 seconds is not long enough, because it happens fast, and you're waiting for the candle, right? Because you can be teased. You can think, oh, I've got imbalances here. Oh wait, no, I don't. Oh yes, I do. Oh no, I don't. Right, that's why waiting for the candle to close, it's usually advantageous. In this circumstance, again, right, who's going to sell down here? Probably retail traders, right, thinking, oh God, that thing we're going to fall through the floor immediately. Okay, all right, so let me just keep going here so I don't run too long. I know I tend to be long-winded. There's just so much to cover here. Again, the point here is go through each of these on your own. Decide, do I want this turned on or not? Do I want to extend it for 3 bars? Maybe. Unfinished business. Do I want that on? Yeah, I do, right? Unfinished auctions. Yes. Let me know where there's an unfinished auction, because the premise is that with an unfinished auction, the algos may want to come back and clean that up. Maybe yes, maybe not, right? This one doesn't get tapped. This one doesn't get tapped, right? This is unfinished business here in the auctions that you can see, obviously, right? And you see down here, I got 84 and 41. That's an unfinished auction, but there's an unfinished auction from a prior candle. It doesn't clean it up, interestingly, right? But it leaves one. Leaves another one here. I mean, it's a line across your chart, right? As long as you know what that green dot, I think I did dash dot there just to draw for my own benefit. So I know, I know what that is. That's unfinished auction. If I'm over here and going, what is that again? Right, I know what it is. All right, so let me see, 819. Damn, it's so hard to do this. Zero prints, all the same thing. Just go through them, decide what you want. Do you want them until tested, until broken, or just for a couple of bars? That's entirely going to be your preference. Okay, with that, I think we've covered all of this. Oh, one last thing quickly here. Let's do the delta bars. This is optional, right? Some people like to see this, right? Again, in that same spirit of, can I just see what's happening at a glance? Okay, right. He puts it right on top of, within the summary table. It's just personal preference, right? If you like it, great. If not, we do have a separate indicator that would put these below, right? Do you need it? Yeah, again, maybe yes, maybe no. That's just up to the individual. And the same thing with the volume profile, on or off. Right? These are just additional features here that are available to you. You can set alerts for everything we just looked at. You can set an alert for. So if you're not watching the candlestick chart and all of a sudden, hey, I got a reverse imbalance, boom, off goes an alert, brings your eye to it. I think we're covering everything here. Position, do you want it left or the right? Do you want to paint bars? Again, your choice. Candle width, fixed, delta volume, right? You can decide the width of the candle based on all of these factors here. Do a little experimentation. You've got to make a decision as to what you prefer there. I think I've covered everything here. Okay, so let me stop there because I've gone 20 minutes here. Okay, that should get you pretty comfortable, at least getting you started with tweaking to your own liking, right? To get something that you're comfortable with. Those of you that have experience with it, well, you're probably not watching this video series, but those of you that are trialing and getting started, here's a lot of things to think about and tweak and experiment with while you're evaluating. Or if you're a new owner and you're trying to get into this, hopefully the point of this series, as long-winded as it is to give you a whole lot of new things to think about. What do I want to see on the chart? Okay, with that, I'm going to wrap. I'll see you on the next one.